Why, heidi ho, heidi ho. So, I am cooking dinner. Haven't been doing my morning videos here lately. Um, so anyway, we got a pretty easy week this week. I mean, I still got my basic stuff that I do, but I've only got one of my grandchildren for 5 days because 3 of them are camping. Anyway, the message I wanted to leave is about how we connect ourselves to all things. So regarding our 7 gates, so it's taught in Zohar about, well, it's taught in Talmud and a lot of different places, Torah, but all these things come from Torah and Tanakh. So we become unclean when we go to war, and the instruments of war we use to kill others, those instruments of war become impure. So by touching them, we become impure. So I've said it before, quantum entanglement. We're attached to everything we attach ourselves to. And there are men, we'll call them the creditors. You sold yourself to the creditors. Well, the creditors believe that they are detached from things if they don't actually use their own hands. Well, unfortunately, they do use their hands because they write things on parchment. And the minute you take something that belongs to our Ima Abba and you modify it for your own benefit and it causes harm to others, you can't relieve yourself from that. So it's kind of humorous. The bankers, the creditors think that by using a fictitious conveyance of language, what some call legalese, and beguiling, coercing individuals, men and women, to use the identity of a person. So a person is McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, 7-Eleven, Circle K, any corporation. That's a person. At all caps name, capitis diminutio maximum. So they think it's cute that they use legalese to persuade individuals to give up their God-given rights. Well, unfortunately, their hands are still becoming dirty because the words are coming out of their mouth, collusion or coercion, and they use a perverse language, which is a violation of their own law. So the Satan will beguile you in your ignorance and let you believe that you can do certain things and get away with it. But under those same laws, you're told that even you are guilty when you use a fictitious conveyance of language. So it goes back to the 10 utterances: bearing false witness, coveting what belongs to your neighbor. So anybody who does that is either a sociopath, psychopath, but they're definitely suffering from situational narcissism. So anyway, the belief that somebody else can write something on a piece of parchment that gives you the right to be a liar, to use collusion and coercion to defraud others for your benefit and for the benefit of the bankers. You're not relieved from that. So you'll be rewarded while you're here. And that's pretty much how it works. So there are laws that are set in motion. They're immutable laws that can't be argued, can't be fought, can't be taken away, can't be added to or taken away from. They're the law. So you're told by the 10 utterances what the laws are. So you lie in any way, shape, or form, legalese. You lie in any way, shape, or form, legalese. And you use a fictitious conveyance of language, legalese, to coerce others into giving up their God-given rights, legalese. Even under Title 18 of the United States Code, it's called a fictitious conveyance of language, false and misleading statements. So see, the Satan beguiles you because most people who follow orders are like pets. Give them bread and circuses and they're distracted and they're too damn stupid to study the law. Because if they actually studied the law, they'd remove themselves from that jurisdiction real quick. Anyway, Federal only has authority in what is federal. Things become federal when you use what the federal government created, or that federal corporation, that Title 28 corporation. And it does go back to the central bank, the International Monetary Fund, the International Bank. So it does go all the way back to there, which it does go back to Edom, which is Rome, using the Gregorian calendar. But it's not only that. When you really sit and you start studying the law and you realize everything created by that corporation belongs to that corporation, and when you claim that you believe that you are an owner of or in possession of, or you have a right to possess something that belongs to that corporation. So even flying the flag, you're flying the flag, but you're protesting the same corporation whose flag you're flying, and they whoop your ass. Well, they're whooping your ass because you're flying their banner. You're in their jurisdiction. You have their property in your hand. So when you get accosted and you get yourself beat half to death, it's because you're flying their banner. You're in their corporate jurisdiction. See, that's just how silly it is. And I know it sounds stupid, and it's so damn easy. It really is. But you know what? Sometimes the easiest way to fool somebody is to make it so easy that it's beyond anything that the mind can rationalize. It's like, how can I have been so fooled? It's so simple. They're using Pope Gregory's calendar, which was Julius Caesar's, and the Time Zone Act, which also belongs to the Roman Catholic Church, and the federal postal system, which means you don't live on the land, you live in a mailbox. You're flying their banner. Woohoo! Look at me, I'm a dog, I'm a pet. I can follow orders just like the best of them. And then when they accost you, it's because you actually are holding their property. That's their property. They created it. It belongs to them. You're claiming that you live in their property, which is a mailbox, federal postal code, federal postal address. So you use God or my Abba's time. Sun goes down, the day has ended. It's a new day. Not at midnight in the middle of the night, midnight in the middle of the night. When the sun goes down, that's the end of the day. We follow the Hebrew calendar, which is my Abba's calendar. The year begins in Nisan, the head of the months, which is also the month of Pesach, Passover. It's also when the barley is Aviv, in the month of Aviv, which means springing or coming to life. That's spring. That's when all life is coming to life. So anyway, a lot of those individuals believe they're removed from the iniquity because somebody else wrote something on a piece of paper. Well, unfortunately, you don't get to claim to follow Torah, Tanakh, 5 books of Moses, which would be the first 5 books of an English Bible, I'll say, which is another topic, perverse in the way it was translated, but it's still a translation, so you've never actually read the words. You've read a translation. You can't say you've actually read the Bible, which is Torah. You can't say that you read it if you've only read English. You've read a translation, somebody else's rendition of what they believe it said. So anyway, that's the message for today. That's to any of you guys who work for and have even a modicum of decency, humility, compassion, who's able to empathize with other people. You have no right to trespass against anybody. And just because somebody put a nom de guerre, which is a war name, like Rambo, on your chest, no matter what uniform it's on, and gave you a badge, or told you that you were a member of the Bar Association, and since you're a member of the Bar Association, you're allowed to mislead people if you think you can trap them in some sort of BS that you made up in your own mind, so that we can racketeer their sweat equity from them. But they have to live in a mailbox. So you can't even get a driver's license unless you're stupid enough to believe you live in a mailbox. Think about that. You have to have a federal postal address. So you got to admit to living in their jurisdiction to get a marriage license, driver's license, hunting license, fishing license. Those are all licenses. Well, a pet gets a license. You get a license for your dog. Well, they've just made it obvious. Now they actually have canine units. dogs, and they'll call those dogs officers. And the actual men and women who up here who believe they have authority over others don't catch on to that. But then again, I was guilty of that myself at one point in this life. But I woke up and I started realizing there's something seriously wrong with this system. And I removed myself from it, but I started studying the law. So anyway, that's just a message to you. Nobody has authority over you. And that's a message to you fools that believe you have authority because somebody else wrote something on a piece of paper. You don't have any authority. There is no contract on the land that is a lawful contract. Every one of them are null and void, simply because you didn't give full disclosure. And unless you can show me a dictionary where you gave everybody on the land full disclosure before they signed any piece of paper, they're all null and void. So that's your message. God bless. Much love.